everyone, it's Lexie. In today's video I'll be sharing with you all the books that I ended up reading in the month of July and the books that I plan to read going into August. So July was a bit of a crazy month. We ended up getting our little puppy Willow. You can go follow her on Instagram. She is very cute, but obviously I've been a little busy kind of finding and establishing a routine with her, but she's honestly been such a great puppy, a very smart learner, or like very fast learner, sorry. So she's been very cute and I love her so much already. So she's been a really, great addition to our family. So because of that, I haven't been reading as much recently. I did manage to read 3 books, which I'm very proud about. The first book I finished literally like July 1st or whatever. So I just got lucky with that one, but the other ones kind of took me a while to get through. And they're kind of all over in terms of genre. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, I have The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and this is the sequel to The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And this was a series that kind of took me by surprise. It takes place in this fantasy world, and it kind of is very similar. If you like ACOTAR, I think you would like this. But it follows a human who lives in a world of vampires, and she essentially gets adopted by the king of vampires, and she enters herself into this tournament. And it kind of goes off from there. This kind of deals with the kind of crazy aftermath of how the first book ended. And I heard like people say they didn't like this one, like they said this one was horrible, but I like enjoyed it. Like I don't think this fantasy series in particular is like breathtaking, like takes my breath away. I don't think it's like groundbreaking or the best one I read, but it was definitely something that was really enjoyable, and I lost myself in it. I like binged it very fast. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I definitely want to continue on with the series. I think this is going to be 6 books total, but they're going to be composed of 3 different duologies following different relationships, and so I'm excited for the next one. I think it comes out in November. But like I said, it's very kind of tropey. I don't think it's anything special, and I think it's, if you like ACOTAR, it kind of has very similar vibes and kind of themes and tropes in it. So I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was super suspenseful. I loved kind of the development and political intrigue of this one, and yeah, definitely a lot of fun. And I'm very excited to see what happens next with this series, because there were some things that were somewhat left unresolved, so I'm very curious to see how that progresses throughout the kind of course of the series. So I gave this one again a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I picked up a new release that came out this month, which I was really excited about, and it is The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. This again is her newest release, and I love Kate Quinn. I think The Alice Network is by far one of my probably top 5 favorite books of all time, and I've really loved all her other works as well. This one was a little bit different than her previous ones. I feel like a lot of her previous books have followed people during the World Wars, and this one takes place in the 1950s, where we follow a group of women who live at the Briar House, and they end up forming kind of this like club essentially, where every Thursday each one of the tenants will cook everyone dinner. And this book is very interesting because we get each kind of book, like the book is divided into different sections where we follow each of the different characters kind of throughout who live in this house, and just how some of them may not be close, but how their lives are very much interconnected. And we start out this book where there has been a murder that has taken place. We don't know who has died, we don't know what has happened, but essentially you follow kind of 5 years leading up to this event. And so I thought that was really interesting, and like the little twist that you get at the end with one of the characters is like, something's off, but I was not expecting that twist, which made it fun and interesting. So yeah, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I felt like some of the character stories, like I said, it's kind of divided into different sections following different characters. I like some characters more than others. I think that's one of the kind of like struggles with this, is that because you only have such a small amount of time per each character, there's some that you're going to like more than others. So I definitely enjoyed some. Like I said, I really enjoyed some, and then some I didn't really care too much about, but I loved how everything was interconnected and following these different women, and how women kind of really form these bonds over, feeding people, and kind of how bonds are formed that way with female relationships, which I really enjoyed how it explored that. But yeah, like I said, it was a little bit different than what I was expecting, and I also liked how it kind of delved into a lot of the political fear that has been kind of with like Trumpism and kind of exploitive, harsh, cruel politicians, and kind of driving into that as well in terms of like the 1950s and how that's very cyclic throughout American history, and kind of drawing parallels with just the craziness that Trump has brought to American politics. So very interesting. Like I said, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think if you're a fan of Kate Quinn, this is definitely worth giving a try, and definitely that ending was like crazy. So yeah, definitely like a different read than I was expecting, but I still pretty much enjoyed it. And lastly, I picked up The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is the second book in the Bridgerton series, and I'm slowly working my way through. I got this one from the library, and I needed something a little bit lighter. I've just been completely exhausted with just taking care of puppy and all that, and this one was definitely a little bit lighter than like the Briar Club, and I like enjoyed this. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I think I definitely prefer the TV show over the books slightly. This book is very, I would say the first book, The Duke and I, was like somewhat closely resembled what they did in the TV show, but they diverged quite a bit in the second book, and so that kind of took me by surprise. But it was interesting seeing different perspectives and like kind of this different storyline with the characters. I do prefer kind of how everything played out within the second season, which is I think second and third season. I hated the first season, but I loved the second and third season. So I think if you are a fan of the TV show, I think you might like enjoy if you kind of have like if you want more Bridgerton. I think they're worth reading. I'm definitely gonna kind of make my way through this series, but I think one of the things that I dislike the most about the books is how you get very little of the other side characters. I think what the show does is that it does like the ensemble cast really well, where you can kind of get a bunch of different storylines and you get to really know the other characters within this world. And I feel like especially like my favorite characters in the TV show, like Penelope and Eloise and like all these other characters that I really enjoy, you don't really get a lot of them when this like in the book itself, because it's very just focusing on that couple. But I still really enjoyed it. It was very different than what I was expecting. There were some like things that they kind of obviously kept and kind of tweaked a little bit, but it's fun. I do enjoy reading them. Like I said, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. They're just fun finds. Next, let's move on to the books that I plan on reading in August. So August is going to be, again, I feel like just busy, just especially taking care of little Willow, but then I have my bachelorette party, wedding shower, my postdoc is ending, and I start teaching again and going back to like my research job at the hospital. So I'm going to be very, very busy. So I don't know if I'll get to all these. So I kind of have a mess. A lot of these are carryover from last month, and so I won't really kind of talk too much about those. I'll just quickly pull them out here, but if you want to learn more, I do talk about these in my previous TBRs, but I do want to read Anxious People by Fredrik Backman and then finish this trilogy by Nora Roberts, the second book being The Becoming and the third book being The Choice. These are like my high priority because they've been on basically all of my summer TBRs and I just want to finish them, so that will be great. But the next book that is on my list for the TBR is the one I'm currently reading. I read the first chapter last night, but like I said, I've just been so exhausted. Haven't been reading a lot, but it is the third book in the Bridgerton series, which is An Offer from a Gentleman, and this follows Benedict, and this, I think it will be a better reading experience because I can't compare it to like the TV show, like what they've done. So I'm very curious to see, and I know this one is like a fan favorite, so we'll see how it goes. But this is what I'm currently reading. Like I said, I needed something a little bit lighter now that I've been taking care of a little fur baby, so that has been good. And then the last book that I want to read is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I read her Divine Rivals duology back in May and I enjoyed it, but I've heard also people say this one is really good as well. But it just sounds interesting, and it is another duology, so it can be one that I can marathon. But it just sounds intriguing, and I've heard people say this is like really, really great and the writing is beautiful. And I found that true with Divine Rivals as well. But it says, it starts with a letter and an ominous journey across dark waters. 10 years after being sent away to the mainland to become a bard, Jack is summoned home to Cadence. Girls are going missing from the island, and Adaria, his childhood nemesis and the future leader of the clan, believes Jack is the only one who can find them. The elemental spirits that dwell in every breath of air, splash of water, blade of grass, and flicker of fire find mirth in the lives of the humans, and a bard's music is the only way to summon them and ask that the girls be returned. Yet as Jack and Adaria get closer to solving the mystery, it becomes apparent that an older, darker secret about Cadence lurks behind the surface and no harp song may be strong enough to stop it. So yeah, this one just sounds interesting. I'm expecting great like lyrical writing and all that, and I have a feeling this might kind of be a little bit of a romance, nothing too spicy because this is, I believe YA. So yeah, I'm excited to dive in, and I feel like this is kind of the perfect book to end off kind of the summer season. So yeah, so that's it guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of the books you read this month and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.